Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I'm Monica Mejia. I am a financial advisor that is based in Northern California. And today I am here to share about my journey with financial literacy and help all of you with some financial tips. So today I am happy to share my journey with you into financial planning. This is absolutely not something that I was born into or raised around. In fact, quite the opposite. I had the best childhood. I have the most amazing parents, but unfortunately, they just weren't blessed with the tools of financial knowledge, and that did lead to some financial turmoil in my childhood. For instance, my father has always owned a business, which is wonderful. He's been a great provider for my family, but as far as keeping money, let alone saving or investing money, that was really difficult for them. So growing up, our lights would get shut off, the water would get shut off. As I got a little older, cell phones would definitely get cut off, cars would be repossessed. There was some gambling addiction. That's just in my family. It trails down from grandparents or great-grandparents even. And so there was a lot going on. My mom also has always been reliant on my father financially. And so because of the way I grew up, because of the things that I witnessed, I sort of adapted to different mindsets. One was making money and keeping money is really hard. And also, it's really, really important. I learned from a really young age to save my money. And I even remember being so proud of my little self. I think I was about 5 or 6 years old. And my parents would always give me money for like a birthday or the tooth fairy, and I never spent it. I always kept it hidden and safe. And I remember my dad coming into my bedroom and someone was knocking at the door and needed money now. And I had saved probably like $17. And I was so happy that I got to provide my dad that $17. And it just further instilled like, wow, look at the power of saving. Like I get to help the person who I love the most. I mean, I could cry just thinking about it. That taught me really early on, my gosh, look at what saving can do. And as I, continue to progress in my relationship with money and also my ability to make money, I landed my first big girl job where I got the opportunity to invest in a 401k. And going back to just the lack of financial literacy I went to my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm going to invest in a 401k. I'm so excited. And no disrespect to my mom. She's so incredible. but this advice was not. She was like, that's a scam. Don't do it. They're just trying to scam you out of your money. And I was like, oh, okay. I won't do it then. Obviously, if you have a retirement account with your job, you know that 401ks are great. They're amazing, actually, especially when there's an employer match. But I didn't take advantage of it because I was told that it was a scam. And then I just kept saving and saving, and I built a nest egg. And I remember, again, not knowing anything about money, investing, anything. I knew that there was something else I could be doing with my money aside from having it in my savings account, but I didn't know what. So I went to my local credit union and I said, hey, I have $50,000 saved in my bank account. What do I do with it? I feel like it's just sitting here and there's something else I can do. And he said, oh, sweetheart, we work with millionaires. You just keep saving. And it crushed me. It crushed me because it went back to my story of making money is hard, or maybe watching my mom and watching her be solely dependent on my father, thinking, well, maybe making money isn't for me. Maybe I need to be reliant on someone else. I mean, yeah, it triggered me, but it also kind of made me mad and made me like, you know what? No, I'm not taking that as an answer. And so I actually met with another financial advisor, and this time I kind of knew him, and I was like, I think you do something in finance. What should I do? And he said, you're going to open this account and move this here and start investing in this. And it was like a whirlwind of information. And I was like, okay, I trust you. I'm just going to do this. And I slowly watched my money grow and grow. And I thought that was just the coolest thing, that I took what was originally 50,000 and turned it into 60, 70. And it just kept going up. And I was like, this is amazing. Obviously, in that there were some dips, and I panicked and was like, hey, what's happening? But once I got some education around it, then it was really clear to see, okay, this investing thing works. This is great. And I started doing that. I literally copy and pasted what he did for me for my friends, my family, and they watched their money grow, and we were all just succeeding in this new world of the stock market. And after that, I said, there's something to this. I really like this. Before, I was in psychology and I had my own coaching business. I also was just in the mental health field in general. And so I interviewed some advisors and I said, tell me what your day-to-day is like. And one advisor said, this is really hard. It's like you're a marriage counselor or a therapist, and you have to talk people off of a ledge of doing something that they can't undo financially. And I was like, ding, ding, ding. Okay, this is perfect, a perfect career. It combines not only my background in psychology, but also my love and passion for teaching people what someone else taught me, which is the gift of financial literacy. And that is how I ended up as a financial advisor today. And I wouldn't look back. It's the best career, most fulfilling. And yeah, I couldn't be more thrilled to share my knowledge with other people so that no one else has to, obviously, if they choose that path, that's their journey, but no one else has to live through lights getting shut off and water getting shut off and not just kind of melting into what their parents taught them.
Wow, what a journey and what a transformation for a young woman who grew up seeing things she didn't want in her life, for you to be able to harness that and really turn it into something very, very magical. I love what you've done. What are the fundamental steps a young person should take to start building financial literacy?
That is a wonderful question. So, I am a certified financial planner. I have that designation, obviously, for my career, but as I was going through the program, I did that before I was even in the financial industry. And I was just like, how magical of a designation this is, and why isn't this taught to everyone? Why doesn't everyone have access to this knowledge? So, I would say, if you have no desire to become a certified financial planner, absolutely fine. But those sort of programs do really help. I also think that with the innovation of ChatGPT and the ability to ask it questions and have it answer in a specific way catered to you is a great resource just to start. Just type in, hey, tell me about investing. What is a bond? What is a stock? And there's other sites like Investotopia or Morningstar that are really great at providing financial literacy if you have a question that's super specific. Otherwise, I would say talk to a financial advisor. A lot of times, financial advisors will provide you information that is free. And especially if you're brand new and starting out and you don't have money to invest or spend with an advisor, I know for me personally, I'm always happy to share knowledge. And I think most advisors are.
So, how can teens and young adults learn to differentiate between needs and wants when managing their finances?
Oh, I love that question too. Yeah, when you're young, it does seem like everything is a need. Like, I need new shoes, obviously. The cool kids are wearing these, so I need them. But you have to realize between what you want and what you need. Your needs are basic. Your needs are really simple. I need water, I need food, I need a roof over my head, I need the ability to get to school, whether that is through bus, etc. You need gas money. Your needs are simple. Just keep that in mind. And anything on top of that is going to be a question mark. Like, can I live without this? If you're even asking that question, it's probably a want.
I like that. That's a very easy way to distinguish between your needs and your wants. So, why is it important to establish a budget? And what tools or methods do you recommend for beginners?
It's so important to budget. If you do not know where your money is going or where you want it to go, then that means your budget's controlling you and you're not controlling your budget. So the best way to do this, I would say, is to the old school way, break out a pen and paper or do an Excel file and say, here's exactly what I'm spending money on every single month, and categorize it. Categorize it by needs and wants, but get even more specific. Don't just say I'm spending this much on food. I'm spending this much on going out to eat. I'm spending this much on grocery shopping, and make it very clear what you currently are spending money on versus what you would like to be spending money on.
Again, going back to those needs and wants, it's quite fascinating when you start, saying it out loud. And what is the best way to start building credit responsibility as a young adult?
Credit's really important. There's a lot of advisors that would say, cut up your credit cards, you don't need them. I'm not one of those, because I know that a credit score is really powerful. A credit score is how you get approved to buy a home, is how you get approved to even rent an apartment these days. So having a good credit score is great. One of the foundational tools that is going to build up that credit score is going to be the length of time that you've had a credit history for. So when you first open up in your very first credit card, it's generally advised to not close that account, because that's just going to lengthen the amount of time that you have credit history. And then the biggest tip is, if you don't have it in cash or in a bank, you do not have it in credit. So it might look like, oh, I have a $10,000 credit limit. Yay, I can go shopping. But if you don't have $10,000 in your bank, do not spend that. It is not free money. It's going to bite you.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Why is savings early so critical? And what are some tips for teens to start saving even on a small income?
Saving early is so important. I would argue that investing early is even more important, mainly because of compound interest. So if you don't know about compound interest, essentially what that means is that over time, your money is building upon itself. So you start with $100, you get interest of $10, and now that same interest is going to be applied to 110, and it's just going to continue to multiply what you're left over with, which is going back to the beginning of my story where I saw my 50,000 turn to 60, turn to 70, and it goes up and up exponentially. Hopefully, obviously there's dips in the stock market, but that is a huge reason to stay invested early or start investing early.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as saving early, it really builds that habit of I get to keep my money and I get to save it for a rainy day, and I have an emergency fund in case something happens. It's so vital and essential to build that muscle.
Oh, wow. It is a muscle. And the more you use it, the stronger it gets. The stronger
Mhm.
it gets, the more you use it, right?
Absolutely. I remember saving up, and this is the funniest thing because I still have not bought it, but I remember hearing, it was so funny. I heard Emma Watson say her grandma saved her first paycheck for a Burberry jacket. So I saved my first amount and I was like, I'm going to buy a Burberry jacket someday. And I saved it, and then I had the money and I was like, no, I worked too hard to spend this on a Burberry jacket. I'll wait until I have this amount. And then I got that
Yes.
amount and was like, nope, still not ready for it.
Um,
Now my mindset's kind of changed where I'm like, I don't think I need that Burberry jacket anymore. I'm happy
exactly.
it being in my account.
I love that. Now, can you explain the concept of compound interest and how it benefits young investors?
Yes. Compound interest is huge. So, compound interest is saying that your money is building upon itself. So, when you start out with $100 invested, and let's say whatever stock you choose on average returns 10%, then what's going to happen is you're going to have $101. But
Mhm.
then the next year, you're going to have 10% building on $101, and you're going to be left over with that. Now, obviously, $100 is very small, but when you think of it in big terms, like when you have 100,000 invested, and at the end of the year you get 1,000, and then it continues to build and build, it can really grow fast. They say, on just universally for everyone, the first $100,000 you have invested is going to be the hardest amount
Right.
to build to. From there, it's way easier to get from 100,000 to 200,000 to 400,000 than it is to start with saving enough to get the first 100,000. So
Okay.
compound interest, it's amazing.
Yeah. So just knowing that your climb to the first 100 is going to be challenging, but once you get beyond that, things start to look easier and get easier, correct?
Correct.
I love it. I absolutely love it. These are great tips. So, can you give advice? What advice would you give to a young person who's interested in investing but not
Mhm.
sure where to start?
Oh, that's a really great question. If you're interested in investing, I would say first learn so that you are not investing too aggressively to the point where you're like, oh no, I have to jump out of the market when it's at a low.
Yes.
and also learn what you are investing in. So, you know, the hot ticket item these days is crypto. A lot of young people are talking about crypto. Know what it is and know that there's not a big history behind it. So it's not as easy
Yes.
to predict. No one knows what's going to happen in the stock market either, but at least we have a long trailing history that we can
Mhm.
look back on and see trends. With crypto, it's new, and so we don't have those statistics. And if you're just going to be invested in stocks and bonds, have the knowledge of what a stock is, what a bond is, what a mutual fund is. Just learn. That would be honestly my number one tip. And then once you feel like you have a good handle on it, then I would say then it's time to look into what is your risk tolerance. So someone's
Okay.
risk tolerance, you know, you and I could have a really different risk tolerance and
Mhm.
handle waves in the market a lot differently. And you want to make sure that you're making it a point to know what you can handle and what you can as far as risk goes.
So, what strategies can young adults use to avoid or manage student loan debt effectively?
Hmm. Student loans are really tough. Student
Mm,
loans, they're sneaky, especially when you're 18 years old and you don't know what you're signing up for.
mm,
In my case, for instance, my mom actually signed me up for student loans and I had no idea. So when I got out of college, I made it a point to pay it right away because I'm someone who
mm,
doesn't like debt at all. Someone else could have a very different strategy or have a very different situation than I did and have a lot of student debt. So, first, I would look into the terms and conditions, you know, see if there's interest that's going to be accrued regardless of at if you're required to pay right away or not, and also see what your interest rate is. And I would really talk to someone specifically about your situation, but really I would say try to pay it off as soon as you
mhm.
can.
Now, what advice would you give to young freelancers or the 1099 employees to manage irregular income?
Mhm. So great. I love business owners. I love working with 1099 employees because cash flow is so huge for them. I mean, they really have to be on top of their finances, especially when it comes to taxes as well. You know, they're going to have different tax rules than maybe people with a W-2 job have. So, I would say really do a great job with saving your money. Put away, you know, 20 to 30% of your income. I mean, you can even put away more if you're more rigid or more of a worry wart when it comes to your finances.
Mhm.
But save. You want to save that for not only taxes, but you also want to save it for, hey, I had a great month last month, but this month my sales are really down. So I don't have enough to cover X, Y, and Z. Um,
Yes.
yeah, so your focus really should be saving and making sure you know your budget inside and out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just awesome. What role does mindset play in achieving financial independence? And how can young people cultivate a positive money mindset?
Mhm. I want to say it's everything.
Mm,
Mindset matters so much in all facets of life, but finances especially. I know it really played a huge role in myself as well. I really had to work up the courage to ask for raises, and that was really hard. And there's other people that are like, of course I'm deserving of getting the highest paid salary possible. Of course I'm going to ask for a raise. That's no problem. And then there's people that never ask for a raise and are
mhm.
severely underpaid. I mean, that alone is huge. But then when you're a business owner, it's even more of importance because you are really depending on yourself to bring in income every month. And if you're in your head thinking, why would anyone want me? Why would they choose me? Why do they want my service or my product? Versus someone who's like, of course you want my product. Of course I have the best clients. Who do you think is going to make more money? It's the person that has the healthy mindset of, I'm going to make money. This is going to be successful. And I would say, if you're really working on that habit, I mean, I love affirmations. I love listening to positive podcasts. I mean, obviously this is one of them, but there's so many podcasts out there that help with just positivity and happy mindsets. There's also YouTube videos. If you type in, I want a motivational speech on money, there's going to be something that pops up. I also really love music and listening to music that's like, I'm wealthy, like something in there. All of those things are fun and boost your mind.
So how can teens and young adults set smart financial goals?
Smart, yes. So SMART goals, we start with specific. So if you're, make it specific, but also make it something that you really want. So, for instance, if you are going to say, I really want to go to Disneyland, map out exactly what the traveling costs are going to be, what the hotel costs are going to be, what the food budget is going to be. You're going to need to make it very specific so that you know exactly what your money is going to be spent on. And then M in SMART goals stands for measurable. So make sure that you can track exactly how you're doing on this goal. So did I make my budget or didn't I make my budget? That's a pretty simple, measurable task.
Yes.
Which is great. Achievable would be the A in SMART goals. Make sure that it's realistic. So if you are 10 years old and you want to go to Disney World or Disneyland, I never say anything's impossible. I think anything's possible, but make it something that you believe is possible. So if you're 10 years old and you're going to save 10,000 for a trip for your family, great if you feel like that's possible. If you feel like that's really tough, let's bring it down. Let's do, I want to buy Mickey Mouse ears instead and work up to that goal and, start slowly building. The R in SMART goal is for relevant. If you're saying that, like if I was like, you know what, my new goal is to be in the NBA. I'm going to be, or WNBA. I'm going to do that. I have never played basketball in a real way in my life. That's not going to be a goal for me. It's just not. And then the T in SMART goals stands for time bound. So make sure that you're putting a time limit on it. For me, every year I write how much I want to save in my brokerage, my Roth, my et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I write exactly how much and I say this is for the year.
Well, you have come and given us so many tips. And this doesn't just apply to young people, even to adults. Everybody struggles when it comes to finances and how to work smart and be smart around money. Yeah. So I really love what you've done and what you're doing to support individuals to be more financially literate.
Thank you.
My two questions are a bit of a time experiment. The first one, I want to teleport you back into the past to that young woman who grew up seeing the struggle of her parents, making a decision to be different. If you could go back and give her 3 nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you about money up until this point, what would those 3 nuggets of wisdom be?
That is an amazing question to end on, because little Monica could have really used older Monica. I would say your story doesn't have to be what you grew up in. That would be one nugget of wisdom. The second would be you can do anything that you set your mind to. You can learn, you have your brain, use that to your advantage. And my last one would be to meet people where they're at. You can't help everyone, you can't change everyone, but love everyone. It's been a struggle for me to watch my parents not save and not invest, but that's not for you to help fix. Sometimes you just have to love people and appreciate them and their journeys and their stories, because everyone is so different.
That is so true. You have to put out a hand to those who want to take your hand, but you can't force it on anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Last question, again, a bit of a time experiment. I'm going to teleport you into the future this time. And we are going to go and sit with the 90-year-old you. This wise, amazing woman who's led you to this point. If you could go and have a conversation with the future you, based on what you're trying to do with your life and to empower people with financial literacy, what will you say to her when you finally meet this wise woman?
You are just making me cry, Gertrude. I would ask her a question that I think she would appreciate just reflecting on, which would be, how many people did you help? How many lives did you get to change? That would be really fun to know.
Well, I'll tell you, you're already doing it. I love asking that question because a lot of people, a lot of women don't realize that the wise woman is already in us. She's that quiet voice that tells you, go left, go right, put money away, don't spend. And we always look outside of ourselves for the answers, but the answers are within. So thank you for listening to your wise woman. And I know how it feels when you do get emotional when I ask this question, because it is true. You are an amazing human being. You are doing some amazing things, and you might not even live long enough to see the ripple effect, but every person you touch as you do this work, their lives are transformed. You have to know that.
This is amazing. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for asking that.
It's an absolute pleasure. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We are a social impact movement with a vision to bring you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to energize you, to educate you, but most importantly, to take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So tune in again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. Thanks again, Monica.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mejia, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.